You're listening to Short History Shorts audio, where history speaks louder than images. This is the story of the 12 Tables, the codification of Roman law, and the foundation of Roman civil identity. In the 5th century BC, Rome was a city simmering with discontent. The patricians, the aristocratic ruling class, held nearly all political, legal and religious power. The plebeians, the common citizens who made up the bulk of the army and workforce, had long chafed under a legal system that was unwritten, inaccessible and honestly pretty vulnerable to manipulation. Rome's laws were enforced by custom and priestly interpretation, which meant justice was often opaque and, skewed in favour of the elite. Amid this growing tension, the plebeians demanded legal transparency. The result was one of the most significant moments in early Roman history, the creation of the 12 Tables. The movement toward codified law began with the first major victory of the plebeians, the establishment of the office of the tribune of the plebs in 494 BC during the First Secession. With this institutional foothold, plebeian leaders continued to press for reforms that would reduce patrician legal dominance. Central to this was the demand that the laws be written down and publicly displayed to prevent elite manipulation of judicial outcomes. In 451 BC, the Roman Republic took the unprecedented step of sending an official delegation, 3 envoys known as the Tresviri, to Greece to study the legal systems of other ancient city-states, particularly the laws of Solon in Athens and other Hellenic codes. Inspired by these precedents and under intense internal pressure, the Roman state appointed a special commission of 10 men, the Decemviri Legibus Scribundis Consulari Imperio, with extraordinary authority to draft Rome's first official legal code. These 10 men replaced the regular magistrates for a year, and they produced 10 tablets of laws that were inscribed on wooden or bronze plaques and displayed publicly in the Roman Forum. A second commission, appointed the following year, added 2 more tablets, bringing the total to 12. These came to be known as the 12 Tables, Leges Duodecim Tabularum, and their impact on Roman civilization cannot be overstated. The 12 Tables covered a wide array of civil, criminal and religious law. They addressed family structure, property rights, inheritance, debt, procedural rules and penalties for various crimes. While their content reflected many harsh and archaic practices, such as permitting creditors to dismember debtors who defaulted, it was a radical step forward in legal transparency. Now, for the first time, the rules of Roman life were knowable and visible to all citizens, regardless of class. In practice, the tables functioned less like a comprehensive legal code and more like a foundational constitutional charter. They were both legal precedent and symbolic contract, a declaration that Rome would be governed by lex, law, rather than emos, custom. The physical tablets were likely posted in the Forum for centuries, although the original texts have been lost to history. What survives today are later Roman quotations and paraphrases of the laws, particularly from writers like Cicero, Livy and Gaius. Even in their fragmentary form, the 12 Tables remain invaluable for understanding the values, priorities and structure of early Republican Rome. Among the notable features of the 12 Tables was their firm reinforcement of property rights and patriarchal family structure. The authority of the paterfamilias, the male head of household, was enshrined in law. Slavery and debt bondage were accepted institutions. Women were largely dependent on male guardians and had restricted legal agency. And yet, for all its limitations by modern standards, the 12 Tables represented a profound levelling of the legal playing field for Roman citizens. It marked the moment when Roman law began to evolve into one of the most sophisticated and enduring legal systems in world history. Moreover, the existence of the 12 Tables helped empower later generations of plebeians to demand more legal and political rights. By fixing the law in writing, it created a tool by which the people could hold magistrates accountable and expose abuses of power. It also laid the groundwork for Rome's later republican reforms, including the Lex Hortensia and the opening of magistracies to plebeians. In Roman education, the 12 Tables became a central part of a citizen's early schooling. Young boys memorized them as a rite of passage. They were to Romans what the Bible was to medieval Europeans, a moral and legal foundation of civic life. Even centuries later, during the Empire, jurists and legal scholars would reference the 12 Tables as the sacred origin of Roman jurisprudence. Their principles echoed through the Praetorian edicts, the Corpus Juris Civilis of Justinian, and eventually into the legal systems of many modern Western nations. Rome's transition from a city-state governed by elite custom to a republic ruled by codified law was not seamless, nor was it immediately equitable. But the creation of the 12 Tables was a watershed moment, signalling the emergence of the Roman idea of law as the backbone of society. In a world dominated by aristocratic privilege and unwritten custom, Rome's decision to put its laws in writing and to place them in the public eye was revolutionary. It reshaped Roman identity, cemented the legitimacy of civic institutions, and offered a vision of order that would outlive the Republic, the Empire, and Rome itself. The influence of the 12 Tables extended well beyond their content. While many of the laws themselves eventually became obsolete or were superseded by later statutes and edicts, the idea behind them, the public codification of the law, endured and evolved. One major consequence of their existence was the development of legal professionalism in Rome. Because the law was now fixed and knowable, an entire class of legal experts, jurists, scribes, advocates, could begin to interpret, debate, and apply it. This gave rise to the tradition of Roman jurisprudence, where men like Cicero, Ulpian, and Gaius would elevate legal reasoning into an intellectual art. More fundamentally, the 12 Tables helped to stabilize Roman society during a period of rapid expansion and internal strife. As Rome grew in territory and population, a common legal framework helped to unify its diverse peoples under a shared civic order. It enabled contracts to be made, disputes to be settled, and rights to be defended across an increasingly complex and interconnected republic. You've been listening to Short History Shorts audio. If you found this deep dive into the foundations of Roman law enlightening, consider liking, subscribing, and joining us on our journey through the echoes of history.